this is Linda Solomon with Stamp with Linda. Thank you for joining me for my first video ever. Today we're going to make a faux frame. Here is the card that we are going to work on. It is, this line here is just a drawn line, and I'm going to show you how to do that so everything lines up. Today, by the way, is also the first day of the brand new catalog that you can order from it. And here is the catalog right here. I will have a hostess code on the Facebook page for you if you would like to order something from it. Okay, what we're going to need is a window sheet, which is 2 3/4 by 4 inches. Piece of Whisper White cardstock that's 3.5 by 4 3/4 inches. Piece of red cardstock that's 3 3/4 by 5 inches, and your standard card base, which in this case is 5.5 by 8.5, folded in half, and I'm using thick Whisper White cardstock for this. So we'll put these all off to the side. We're going to be working with this one. We'll take off our little measuring here. And we're going to put our window sheet on there, but what I'm going to do is use a little temporary adhesive to help keep it in place while I'm working with it. Helps to hold it down. And we're going to mark the corners. And the reason we're going to mark the corners is so that we don't stamp on the corners. Because those will be our focal points for the frame. So once we have that marked, we'll take this off temporarily because we will be going back to that. And then you'll also notice that I'm using the pad here because I'll be working with photopolymer stamps. And the stamps are all coming out of the Jar of Love stamp set, which is here. We are using the stamp set today, but we will not be using the framelits because we don't need to with this technique, because it almost looks like it is three-dimensional, or it does kind of look like it's three-dimensional. So we're going to use our basic black archival ink, and I'm going to stamp my jar up in the corner here. Again, we use the special pad, which I can't think of the name right now of, to give us a little more cushion, since the photopolymer do not have any rubber to give them extra cushion. And I think actually while I've got the basic black here, I will actually do my words as well. I'll stamp my thanks up in the corner up here. And then I will stamp my other words here that say, "You fill me with happiness," which I think is funny because anyone who knows me knows that I love M&Ms, and they do fill me with happiness. Now we're going to go use the dot from the stamp set to make our M&Ms, or we can also make gumballs. So they can be considered either gumballs or M&Ms. And I will start with Daffodil Delight. I always start with the lightest color because when you're going from one color to another, it's easier to not muddy the colors, so to speak, if you don't get them clean just right. So we'll get one there, and I think I'll put one kind of in the corner here. Another one up over here. I'm just going to do randomly, and then we'll go on to pumpkin pie. Another one in the jar here. I did not hold that down long enough like I should have. We want the paper to absorb the ink, just like that. Next we'll go to Cucumber Crush, which happens to be a color that retired as of yesterday. I just figured it was kind of the closest to the M&M color. A few of those here. One in the middle. And we'll move on to Pacific Point. And then we will move on to Real Red. I kind of tend to use Real Red as one of my last colors because it does tend to muddy up the other colors a little bit more. Here. And then the last but not least, we'll do chocolate chip. I did about three of each color. I'll clean this a little bit better because that red just likes to stay on there. The advantage to ending with the chocolate chip, though, is that it kind of goes over the colors. I can also, I made these little, using just plain paper, little masks, so that when I put the brown down, it can overlap the other ones without getting on the other. You'll see it's not exactly. I'll put another one up here. And I don't know, I think we may be good to go with that. I think I like it like that. I don't think I'm only going to do 2 chocolate chip. Okay, once we have that all done, then we're going to go back to our window sheet and we're going to lay it back down, and because we have the corners all there for us, it makes it fairly easy. It still should be a little sticky. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take a black Sharpie, and the reason I use a Sharpie is because the Sharpie will not, when it gets on the window sheet, it won't come off and get all over your project. So we're just going to follow this along and stop where we get to the jar and pick up and start again. Start again. As you can see, you might have noticed that the Sharpie kind of bled a little bit in the corner there, but it bled on top of the window sheet, so that is our frame. Now, to make these M&Ms, all I did was take the Sharpie again and just put M's on some of them. So I just kind of went through and did an M here, M there. Because, you know, M&Ms only have M's on one side of them, so if they're rolling around, you're not going to always see the M. And then we're just going to put it together. So we'll take our mono, we'll put it on our Real Red cardstock. Take off my little sticky there. And then we'll put it on our other cardstock, and I'm putting the card fully together because the last step involves the fine tip glue pen. And the fine tip glue pen takes a little while to dry. Oh, a little smudge there from my, didn't let my black dry quite enough. It looks like my glue shed. So then I'm going to take my fine tip glue pen and I'm going to go over all of my M&Ms to make them nice and shiny. And this has to be your last step because, like I said, it takes a while for this to dry, so you don't want to put it off to the side. And if you're trying to glue things together and re-stamp on it, you might just smudge them and make a big mess. This works very similar, this fine tip glue pen, to Crystal Effects, which Stampin' Up! Used to sell. Some of you may even still have that, and you can use that as well. But it just gives a nice shine because M&Ms do have a nice shine to them, as well as gumballs. So if you're doing this, if you're just doing this as gumballs, then it would be the same effect. So, just finish up here real quick, and then what I'll do is I'll show you a couple other samples that I had fun making because I just love this technique. Because without using that extra sheet of black paper, you've given another layer. It makes it easier for mailing. Then when you put your glue tip pen back together, make sure you get it right in the little slot there and slide it in because it will, like I said, dry. Thank you for joining me today. Now stay tuned to see some more samples using the faux frame technique. Take care.